Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Site. Today I'll have game one of Kansas City GT, and we're going to face off against a familiar face, and that'll be Josh Laffoon. And this time he's playing something a little different. Last time we saw him was at Iowa GT. He was playing Twilight Kin. So now he's going to the good side of elves, and he's playing some Sylvan Kin. Well, I guess they're more neutral than good, but hey, it's different. So we'll go through Josh's list and hop into the game. So his list is something I kind of like. So he's got a regiment of Gladestalkers with Deathroot arrows. He has a horde of Forest Shamblers with the Awakened Guardians. He has the Windborn Cav. He has the Stormwind Cav, which now 100% can take Pathfinder and Quicksilver Lancer upgrade, which gives them nimble and a higher nerve. This comboed with the Elf Command being able to get Ordered March. I think this is the best unit to definitely do that on because you're nimble, your Pathfinder, and your Ordered March. You get 2 pivots, 18-inch moves, you ignore terrain. So what's not to love about that? Then we got 2 bolt throwers. He has Nimue. He has 2 tree herders, one of them being Wilt Daddy. And then he took the formation, just naked, no items or anything. So that brings him to 14 drops and a somewhat low 19 unit strength. But I feel like lower unit strength numbers is pretty common for elves. So yeah, I like the list. It has a lot of the same techs or features that I was playing with the all scouting Sylvan Kin lists just a few months ago. If you haven't seen that, that was definitely fun. Took it to a 1 day, so would recommend go back and watching that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and hop on in. Josh is ready to go. Look at him. All right, so this is our deployment, and our scenario is the new variation on Raze. I forget what words they use to describe it, but for those that don't know, it is the same as old Raze in every way except for at the end of the game, for any token your opponent has not destroyed or burned on their turns throughout the game, you can control that token at the end of the game. So there's a possibility for an additional 3 victory points instead of just 4 if you had burnt all 3 and captured the center. So I do like this change. I think it was a very good adjustment to the Raze scenario, which was already a good scenario, I think. So in my opinion, this is my favorite scenario out of all the updates or adjustments from the Clash of Kings book this year. So very happy to be able to play it and test it out. This will be my first time. So terrain-wise, this is a little bit of a crazy board, and as you can see, lots of bright colors. So terrain, we have a lot of impassable. Big impassable in the top center, bottom center, cutting off both deployment zones in the middle. And then impassable attached to the board edge here on the left and the right. Other terrain, we got forest here on the left and center right. A hill with an obstacle on top of it here. And then I want to say this is actually an obstacle right here. Both very small, but they are there. So just one big hill, no flat or difficult pieces of terrain, just 2 forests. So lots of impassable. Yeah. So Josh got first turn. I didn't get close-ups of his army throughout that, but I'll just quickly go through it. Oh, wait, he didn't get first turn. This was his scouting moves. So he has his Quicksilver Lancers in the back here. He has Boss Race, the Awakened Guardian Forest Shamblers here. He has another unit of Boss Race, I believe. Yes. With the Wilt Daddy behind, and then one of the Forest Guard regiments here. He has the king from the formation here. The Gladestalkers scouted. This is a bolt thrower. On the right, he has a bolt thrower, the Windborn Cav behind, Nimwe's hiding back here somewhere, the other tree herder, and the forest guard unit here. So yeah, this was his scout move, which was a lot less aggressive than my scout move when I played the army, but not everything scouts is, so makes sense. I did get first turn, and this is my movement here. Yeah, we're just flying through this, aren't we? I didn't get close-ups, but so my movement and deployment here. I have a Butcher Flesh Ripper on the far left. This little guy will look familiar if anybody's watched these videos before. I do not have Horror Riftweavers anymore. So this is my Dread Fiend, second Dread Fiend with the Blade of Slashing. I went 2 hordes of Scarecrows with the Portal of Despair in the middle here. I have Tormentor Troop, both or 2 of the Soul Flares. I believe I went with J Boots on this one, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't think the things matter. I don't actually remember what items are on what unit. So sorry about that. You'll see this is a Tormentor troop as well, but it's actually on quite a bit bigger base. I was borrowing a unit for this tournament. There's actually a wooden base here. That's where it actually is, which matches the actual infantry size. So then we have another Butcher Flesh Ripper out here trying to threaten some Gladestalkers. I have the third horde of Scarecrows, both Mind Screeches, Tormentor Troop, Soul Flares, as you do, legendary triple stacks all over the place. And then we have our regiment of Scarecrows, which is going to be proxied by this unit, and the Trickster's Wand Dread Fiend that we all know and love. And we have a couple of great targets. I'm targeting the Windborn Cav right now with it. Nimue, I think, is more of a priority middle to late game, but those Windborn Cav are definitely a issue as they don't care about stealthy. So yeah, moved up pretty aggressively. I want to get this party started, so I am ready. And Josh obliges on both the left and the right. He's coming in to do some damage for sure. So over here, again, I apologize. I'm getting a headache because of all these colors on the screen. So I'm sorry about that. I did not pick this table. It is just crazy. So he took a boss race troop into here. He took the other troop plus Awakened Guardians in here. Wilt Daddy just ran up behind to give out his vicious aura. Yep, and then over here, Forest Scar Regiment hit those guys. Fun times were had. So first turn, I should say, I did successfully hex the Windborn, so they're not doing anything to me. And I just shot some Lightning Bolt at Gladestalkers because that is a great target to do it to. But yeah. And combat, he did kill this horde as we kind of expected. Boss race troops put out a ton of attacks, and against defense 3, they definitely hurt because of those amount of attacks. So he accomplished it, and then he overran the troop here and held here. He did not do anything substantial to the butcher, as we expected. Also, I think his shooting went on to the Portal of Despair because it can. I don't know. I think that was one of his only clear shots for his bolt throwers, so he did that. His other shooting went at the butcher here, but that's not going to amount to much of anything. So, yeah, this is how it looks going into top of 2, and this is what I after combat, I guess. Yeah, didn't take before pictures, so we'll just see the afters. So I ended up flanking and countercharging the front of the boss race here. We killed them. I ended up taking the troop of tormentors I have here, as well as something else. What else did I do? Maybe I didn't take them in. No. Oh, that's what it was. Uh, yeah. So the troop of tormentors here, and then these soul flares right here, just barely have front arc onto the horde. So I went front with the troop, flank with the regiment, and then this regiment hit the boss race there. So that is the outcome we're seeing here, where the flank reformed as such. Those guys stayed there, and then I believe I was front or flank on the boss race. Didn't really matter. Murdered them there. Um, I also got a Furious Charge this turn. And when you hit something in the flank with Soul Flares and they hit you on twos, you bet your ass they're going to die. So that happened. And then we just moved up aggressively here. The Butcher Flesh Ripper was in range to charge the regiment here. I decided, yeah, that's good. We'll strip their Thunderous Charge at the very least. So we did that. And then our shooting went back into the Gladestalkers, which I believe on turn two here we got enough for a waiver. So happy with that. I double charged the regiment that he put out here with the troop of tormentors and my horde. Um, he was not in range to be inspired because I wind blasted his tree herder backwards with this regiment here. So pushed him out of inspiring range and then murdered the units on a good enough nerve roll. And then the Dread Fiends walking around back here. I believe this is the turn I may have failed to successfully hex the Windborn because I spent my command dice. Typically, what I'm doing is I'm spending at least the accurate one dice to reroll a hit early game on the hex when it matters. So in this game, that's definitely a high priority. So I want essentially hex 3 because I get 2 dice and a reroll. But this turn I think I spent all my command on the Furious Charge to guarantee the kill. So we failed the hex, but that's all right. Life happens. So I'll take the trade. Yeah, and we successfully burnt the Raze token that was out here. That was undefended. So we're up 1 victory point right now. So this is what it looks like at the bottom of turn 2 for Josh, and this is how he ended up moving. So some close-ups here on the left. He took Wilt Daddy into the troop of tormentors here, which made room for the Quicksilver Lancers to come through the woods, not being hindered, and hit the regiment. He then took the regiment of Forest Guard into the the Portal of Despair. But they have lost Thunderous, so they are not really that scary. And then his king, who was sitting back here, charged my butcher, who does have some wounds from being shot at. He backed up over here, and on the right, I don't think he did anything. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh yeah, he just positioned to be able to shoot, I believe. So that's all he did. So he shot and wind blasted back. My Dread Fiend did a couple wounds to him. Yep. So he rolled really bad or just didn't. Yeah, he has like 9 wounds on him, so that's maybe about right, maybe a little bit shy, but he rolled very poorly. I believe he didn't even waver me. It might have been a snake eyes, but a 3 or a 4 was well, I guess a 3 was enough to keep me unhindered or unwavered as well. So getting lucky there. And did he not kill anything over there? It looks like it. maybe he didn't. Yeah, he completely whiffed on the Tormentor troop as well with Wilt Daddy, which that should be an easy gimme. So yeah, just some really poor rolling here from Josh on turn 3 or bottom of 2. Bottom of 2. Yeah, it was only bottom of 2. So this is my movement positioning here. So on the left here, I triple charge Wilt Daddy. I countercharge with the Soul Flares, countercharge, get the Horde in as well. The Tormentor troop that was behind him was in range to hop over and combo charge with the Butcher Flesh Ripper onto his individual. And then my shooting just continued to get positionings for Lightning Bolt into the regiment here. So Nimue, we can finally see her here. She's hiding between the building and the unit right now. She's just been kind of hiding in the back. He's been using her to cast heal most of the time here on these guys. So, and then on the right hand side, I rolled max for wild charge, which allowed me to get in with the horde into his father up here. Yeah. So that, and then I move in position in such a way that I'm gonna cast effects again and threaten a flank on the Wiltfather or not Wiltfather, the Tree Herder for next turn. Also on this turn, this horde is sitting on top of the token that's here, so I did end up controlling it and burning that. So we are up 2 victory points at this point. Shooting, we did take off the Gladestalkers. They were up to 10 wounds at this point. We got really, really lucky and picked up the cab unit. I think this might have been the Blood of the Old King unit, and I didn't bother popping it on the flank charge that they had before. Tried to save it just in case. It seemed like a little bit too much overkill. Normally, I'm good with overkill, but when you're hitting on 2s in the flank anyway, yeah, you don't need all of it. So, so it looks like I popped the Blood of the Old King here, and man, that that item's just disgusting. But that has no business doing as much as it did here to this unit. So, um, yeah, so we killed the regiment of cav out of nowhere. Um, and then yeah, this is what it looks like. So we did not kill anything else. I believe I did get a waiver on his individual back here as well this turn. So Josh's turn. It is bottom of 3s. Yep, bottom 3. So he countercharges the troop over here because they're heavily wounded still. I think he only did 3 or wounds or 4 wounds last turn, and then Cloak of Death is adding up for sure. Yep, and then on the right, he did get a very good charge that I actually didn't see coming. I was hexing these guys, but he went ahead and charged my Tormentor troop. Being nimble and whatnot, he was able to nimble around and get to exactly a point where he connects. He is going to be hindered, so it's 7 attacks on 5s to hit. But he did get Nimue to pop her fly, and she landed right in here. So he's going to try to do some bolt thrower shots and the Cloak of Death and the Fireball. Try to hit this regiment here. But the Cloak of Death does help out with both of these combats as well. So, very good play there. I like it. On the left, he does pick up the troop and then reforms to look to our left, which keeps both my units in his front. He does kill the horde with the tree herder, which I believe they were up to about 10 wounds after the Cloak of Death here, so that's about right for him. He does waver my troop of tormentors at this point. And he also wavered the Soul Flares, I believe, in the middle of the board this turn. He kills the Portal of Despair, which that's what it was. The I had the wrong unit. So this unit here, the one that was fighting the Portal of Despair, that was the Cav unit. He did a crisscross charge the turn before. He had the back it up here. I'll show you. Where was it? One more. One right here. So I had flank charged the Forest Guard here. So what he did, Wilt Father went here. Forest Guard went to the Soul Flares, and then he did the nimble pivot around with his Cav unit to hit the Portal of Despair. Which not sure exactly why he did it. I personally think you want to kill the Soul Flares if you can. Um, but yeah, that is a big reason why the Soul Flares lived in the end. Because if the Cav was into him, I think it should be a guaranteed kill. So yeah. Anyway, so sorry about that. We'll get back to our scheduled programming. So wavered the Tormentor troop after doing 5 wounds to it. He killed the Portal of Despair on the second round of combat. And reformed as such because Soul Flares in the flank are more scary. And yeah, this is how it looks for my turn 4. So one thing I think I forgot to do last turn was burn this token, but we're going to do that this turn. We successfully burned the token. Um, and over here on the left, we do double front charge onto Wilt Daddy. He's up to 5 wounds from what we've done before. We double front charge with both Soul Flare units into here and take the flank. We are going for the kill. Then the Tormentor troop charged the Bolt Thrower, and the Butcher turns and starts running towards the middle. My Lightning Bolts end up looking at the individual this turn because he is pretty heavily damaged after the charge I hit him with the turn prior. Our waivers, so we just turn to face over here. Waivers, so we just stick there. But we did get enough wild charge, and he was towing into the forest, so we get a flank charge from the regiment here. The Dread Fiend was not in a position to hit him in the rear, so we're gonna hit the Bolt Thrower this turn and be prepared to look at the rear for the next turn. So we kill the Cav as expected. We're gonna look at Wilt Daddy here because he took 9. He's up to 9 wounds, and he's likely gonna lift off another unit over here before he goes down. So, in hindsight, probably only needed one of these guys to look that way, but yeah, that's fine. I don't think the other one was really in a position to get over to the other flank and make a difference. So. Yeah, and our shooting did lift off the king as well. We killed the Bolt Thrower. We killed the Bolt Thrower. So this is what it looks like going into bottom of 4 for Josh. He has Wilt Father heavily damaged and in a bad spot. He has a fresh Tree Herder over here, and then he has a damaged Windborn unit as well as Nimue sitting in the middle. So we are definitely in control at this point. We've burnt all 3 tokens. We've held him off of all 3 of his. So realistically, this was. I mean, didn't really talk about game plan early on, but this was definitely the game plan, which was just get in his face, swarm him, and just start the combats early and often because we have so many more units than Josh does, and so many more scoring units as well. There was never going to be a way that he would be able to successfully hold us off those objectives for the entirety of the game. So yeah, our shooting's coming through middle game to pick up units. Our combats are definitely going in our favors. And Josh, isn't picking up a unit every time he hits something, which is what his recipe for success. So So we are in a very dominating position at this point. Shooting, I believe he shoots at the soul flares again and wavers them. Nope, he doesn't waver them. He kills them. So fair is fair. Cloak of Death from Nimue, a couple turns, plus the shooting he has. One thing I did forget this game, I do remember it later in the event. I did forget that the Portal of Despair can provide Inspiring to one of my units. Didn't matter here because the portal's been dead for a turn or two, but something that it's a learning curve for me, being a new unit. Um, but overall, I think I'm happy with what the portal did here. He took a cav charge, and pretty much anything else in my list would have died to that right away. So yeah, and he tanked some shooting as well. Anyway, so other combats, he fights the Dread Fiend. He gets it up to 10 wounds, it looks like, after, double or triple Cloak of Death at this point in his combat, but did not even waver it looks like. So that's definitely a dead Wilt Father here. He does kill the troop of Tormentors, and you can see he has 3 wounds here on this troop, and he did a couple wounds to my guys at the regiment here. So my turn 5, and this is what it looks like. We're gonna pick up a couple more units this turn, but I think it's gonna be very difficult for us to deal with the tree herder over on the right here. Now that our soul flares have been eliminated, so yeah. But this is a dead tree herder or a dead wilt father. This is a dead Windborn Cav. We flanked it and charged the front. We are hindered in the flank though, so it's not a gimme. And our shooting is going to focus on Nimue this turn. So we killed Wilt Daddy, we killed those guys, and ended up backing up. If I think I only backed up, maybe I did back up decently, but I should have probably sidestepped to try and get out of front arc of this tree herder. So minor mistake on my part here. Definitely should not allow the tree herder a charge on a unit, especially one so close to that objective token that he wants to go after anyway. But yeah, that's okay. So this is his turn. He bottom 5. He kills the unit, overruns, and burns a token. So he's got 1 token to 3 that I've gotten. I'm in control of the other 2 of his on the other side, so I should score them at the end of the game, and I have the center token to score at the end of the game. His only scoring unit is this tree herder, but which is again something that I don't think we're going to kill, especially after that overrun and kill there. Nothing's going to combat it on turn 6. So this is my movement here. Nimue had gone into the woods to seek some shelter. We do not kill Nimue with our shooting on 6, and Josh ends up turning around to face. Like I said, I don't expect to kill him even if we had a turn 7, but this is where the game ended. So I don't have a picture of the whole board, but we have all the other tokens that I had mentioned. So in the end, of the possible 7 points we could have scored, we scored 6 of them. 3 from burning the tokens, and 3 of the 4 that we held at the end of the game. And Josh captured 1 token, so it's a 5-point difference, which there was no updated blackjack scoring, so I think it ended up being a +4 victory points still for me in the scenario. I think the other or the scoring they were using was the old Raze scoring, where there was only 4 potential objective points that you got. So if you got all 4, 4-point difference, then it was max. But so a little skewed. I think this probably should have been only like a +2 or maybe a +3 victory point situation. Um, but either way, we got, I believe, also +2 for the kill. So we coming out swinging with a big old 20 on the first game of KCGT. So I do like the list. I think the regiment worked out just fine. The third troop of tormentors I do love quite a bit. I am not missing the horror rift weavers. They were always kind of a underperformer in the army. And the portal I think did enough this game. I think I'm still learning exactly how to use it, and what I should be using it for. So I think we're gonna focus on making that a priority for future games here. But yeah, Josh has a really good looking army, and um, it's just a really tough matchup, I think, because he doesn't want to be sitting on these tokens to defend them, because I just want to come hit him in the face. But he also doesn't have enough to break through my line. So just a rough matchup in general. But Josh is playing the army well. I think he went on and did pretty well with his other games with this list. So and he did win, I believe, best appearance with this army. So congrats to him. Anyway, that is first game of KCGT coming out with a big win, but we are not on top of the leaderboards, even with only, I think it was 14 players total. There were two other people that got a max 21 point victory. So we got some catching up to do. So, but great game one, and hope to see you all and game two.